All right, so today's video, we're watching a Plat 5 support on PC play some Moira. They say, hi, I am a Moira main and usually play her most of my support games. In this game, I was playing with a friend and we were trying our hardest to get the win, of course. I won't spoil the ending, but I felt in this game I made some good plays and some bad ones. Overall, I thought my entire team played well, except for one part at the end of round 3, which I can't lie, I also made a misplay there. I have been gold for the last couple of seasons, however, usually when I get gold, I would stop playing comp in fear of losing it. But this season, I decided to put that behind me and keep playing, and I climbed to platinum. So technically, I'm still used to low gold / high silver elo. This being my first season in platinum has meant I've had to adjust a lot. Plat games feel so much faster than what I'm used to, and I find myself getting overwhelmed at times with not knowing where to look to heal or damage. I try to use my ult to keep my team alive or to enable them to push a lot, but I don't know if it's the right play. Any tips you have on my positioning, playstyle, or anything is much appreciated. Even suggesting me to practice another support. I'm open to all criticism. I want to get better. Thank you. All right, well, we got a lot to work with here. I guess we'll just go here. All right, some Moira on Midtown. Nice damage orb. Yep, this is Midtown at the start. This is the extravagance of Midtown. All right. So I want to talk about this already because this has been an interesting one. Normally, I would sit here and just like watch this and kind of be like, okay, like do this, do this. I kind of want to give you a little bit of a play that could work here, and people might love it or hate it, but here's how I envision things. You have a Kiriko on your team. You have a Sigma. Okay? So I'm looking at what you have. The reason why I'm looking at what you have is I'm like, you know, there's a world already where you could fade over here and really start being annoying in their backline. And this is something that I see happen even like in a top 500 game where people are like, hey, you know, do you see Moira in top 500? And I say, yeah, we see plenty of Moiras in top 500. But a lot of them have this play style that's a good balance of both. And learning that balance is very important. So the point I'm making here is don't be afraid, especially after you get the information of what they have, which is 15 seconds in, to be a very aggressive start to it. Like, be like, okay, I'm going to go here, and now I'm going to be annoying. Let's see how they react to this, right? If they kill you right away, then, okay, you go, all right, you know what? They're paying attention. But a lot of the time, a Moira will get away with, like, getting over here, and your Kiriko can be just fine keeping everybody alive during this. Vice versa, your Kiriko could go for the same off angle, right? Point being is there's an open in here to get around here and then just see what happens and then go from there. Also, is there a Reaper in your spawn behind? But once again, I mean, that granted, you don't have to do that. I'm just showing you an opener I've seen done on this map before, especially when people are playing Moira. All right, but keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with doing this either right here. I was just giving you another option on like what you could do, right? Does that make sense? Nice start, safe play, so no issues there. No issues to start. Mercy will fall over, kill your teammate. You're fine. You might lose your... Oh, good cleanse. All right, good first point. Solid first point. Once again, the play I was showing there isn't like you have to do this. I'm just giving you another option of what you could do, right? They're going to play close, so you can choose your play style here. Similar before, you could be more aggressive on the side, but you don't necessarily have to be. And looking at their comp now with where they're playing, you don't have to do that at all. You can play as a core, especially with your ultimate coming up. Be ready here. Probably go for a quick damage orb ult play if you want. I'm trying to see if there's a time in ult yet. You don't have to ult yet. Still don't have to ult. I was going to say, my vision of your ult, once that Reaper faded in front of you, I would have waited an extra second than when you started it, but you had the right idea. Because the Reaper at that point is overcommitted so hard, that's basically a free kill. Only reason why I waited an extra second, right? Only reason why I would have waited an extra second or something like that was just because, like, you know, why not? They're not going to be able to get out, and you just give yourself an extra second of being able to kill the Reaper. But that is such a small thing. I want to point out your decision making of your ultimate was correct there. Next step here. What do they have? What are they going to come back with? What do you need to use? When do you need a cooldown? Because that's going to be important right now. Do they have grav? Okay. So let me ask you this question. Let's pause. This is why tracking ultimates can be important regardless of the rank. If you know they have grav, why are you going to stack with your team, right? Because there's a chance you get caught in this grav and you can't escape it. So this is where you need to start thinking about, okay, what do they have? And I think this is something I'm trying to explain a little bit more in my spectatings now, is the more you start to understand what the other team has, it's so much easier to know what your next decision is going to be, right? If they have grav, well, then I'm not going to stack on my team, right? I'm not going to stack on my team. There's no point. I'm going to end up in a grav and we're just going to lose. But if I know they have grav and I start playing a little bit further back, and especially in like a plat game where I find that players go from more like perfect ultimates, the less people stack there either means they may not use their ultimate or it gives you more time to deal with the Zarya when they're there. So anyway, we'll see what happens. As of right now, you're stacked on your team, and now you're in a grab. Thankfully, your Kiriko was paying attention, but do you see what I mean? Where like wouldn't it have been worth it to like you could have avoided basically being in the grab there. Now once again, it was fine, right? Your teammates win the team fight, etc. But it's all about developing those good habits and recognizing that stuff. I think it would have been a good idea just to like stay out of the range of that grab because you pretty much knew it was coming, right? That's why it's important to track ults. So if I'm sitting here from your point of view, I'm thinking about, okay, what do they have coming up? First thing I'm thinking about is I know they have Reaper ult, right? We've seen the Reaper, but we know the Reaper's there. So if I'm using the sound cues, I'm not worried about the Reaper just yet. So that's what I'm thinking about. Now the Reaper, I haven't heard him for a bit. Now we know that Reaper has ult, so you can probably pressure him out with some damage. The high noon is unpredictable half the time. Like, you just gotta, it's high noon, you know? There's the Reaper in the back line. There's the ult. Nothing you could do to save that, by the way. There's just nothing you could do to save that. Street group. This is what plat looks like so far. I mean, this is a solid. Yeah, I mean, so far it's been fine, is what I'm saying. You're gonna have your situations here, right? Okay, now you have ult. Be aggressive now. I'll explain this in a second. Good sleep by the Ana. I mean, this is... I'll explain why your decision-making was correct in a second. I want to let this like team fight play out. The Mercy went for the immediate res. Ana's to the right, you hear the Ana. The Ana's like right on top of your team. That's not your Ana, that's their Ana. Torb can go hide behind a wall. There's a health pack back there. Little bit of a note. This is gonna be a very small note that like doesn't really make a huge deal, but don't... Basically, if you know where a health pack is, you probably don't have to throw your Moira orb there. And I know it's a minuscule thing to look at here, but you know, it would have been nice to maybe have a damage orb up here, right? Because your Torb has a health pack right here. This is like health pack awareness can kind of help you make decisions on when you need to use your ability, but you'll be fine. I mean, you'll have it back in like 5 seconds, you know? It was just a small thing. Good damage orb there. They want to do that. You're a little bit too far up. Now you're good. Not healing your Sigma. I was gonna say, you finally did something that, you know, was something that you probably hecked up on. When your Sigma goes up in the air, keep your Sigma alive. Your Sigma needs the survivability with the ultimate and can follow up and do really well with ults. So I would be very wary of just like sitting on the low ground here and not really like looking at your Sigma. I feel like if you look at your Sigma there, maybe they survive that and this is a much different team fight. You kind of tunnel vision like right in front of you. Your Sigma already kind of was at low HP going towards like the ultimate. So I was surprised that you decided to like just kind of look in front of you rather than just try to help your Sigma a little bit more, but it's fine. It's not like, once again, not a huge deal, but you wanted to know some stuff that you could pick up on or improve on with that one, and that certainly is something. Help your teammates' ultimates pop off, and it's going to go a lot better. Alright, what do we have next here? Sorry, I used one bubble. If you see another bubble, I would just orb. Even that's probably fine. Yeah, they were dead either way. You kind of were just hiding there. Okay, you type. Okay, that's what it was. All right, that makes sense. I was like, you're kind of just hiding there, not helping, but at least we know now. You said you were just typing. Obviously, try not to do that in the middle of a team fight. I truthfully don't think it would have mattered. Unless your Ana had nano and immediately nanoed your tank. I think they're gonna fall over straight up. Sometimes it's like I'm just letting you know, if that would have made a difference, it would have been on your Ana to like nano your tank. Okay, you know they have grab coming up, so remember, you don't want to stack too hard here. You have an Ana, like you're fine. You don't need to overstack this. Your Ryan's getting a little bit aggro, so I understand the. Watching, you're playing kind of back, so this is fine. Excellent. That's why tracking ultimates is important. Good job. Very well played by you. Okay, your problem though. Something I'm noticing out of you, when ultimates start to happen, you start to lose track of what you need to do in that situation. I want you to think about this. What's going to be a better opportunity? If you're a Soldier 76 going against me there, right? If I'm a Soldier 76, what's going to be more annoying? Okay? And that's what I want you to think about. Is the Moira that is damaging you more annoying in that situation? Or is the Moira that is using an ultimate to save the Ana in the backline more annoying to deal with? And that's what you need to think about, is like, you have cover here too. So if you start to heal the Ana, the Soldier's going to start to be like, oh crap, uh-oh, I can't get the kill right away. Let me start splitting my damage. But in that time, look where you are. You have opportunity to go hide here. Now you can heal your Ana the whole time, who's over around here, right? Your Ana survives this. And then next thing you know, you just win the team fight because this Soldier's out of position. So, yeah. Well, the thing was, it wasn't even that you necessarily were trying to get into cover on that one, though. You like the decision to go right for the Soldier rather than heal the Ana is more of the problem right now. I would rewind it a little bit, but I don't want the stuff to crash. But that's more of what it is. So even if you have the right idea of going to cover, I'm just showing that, like, if you start by keeping your other teammate alive first, even if you run into a wall or a pole or whatever you do to get back to, like, the cover, like this little pillar here, or whatever this is, like, you're going to have more wiggle room and more time on that one. So it starts with making the correct decision first, and when you make the correct decision, the domino effect won't be as bad. The problem was that because you didn't keep your Ana alive, the Soldier then could go to you next. So sometimes if you make the correct first decision, you can have a bit more blunders, right? Where you can run into a wall, but because you made the first correct decision, it isn't as bad as right here where you didn't make the first correct decision and then you get rolled by the Soldier because you run into the wall. Do you see how that goes? So I know. I just thought that'd be a helpful like note there. Yeah. Thank you, chat, too. Good job there in killing the Reaper, recognizing... Nice shot there on the Ana. Throw another damage orb down. There you go. You can say card if you'd like. You can also push in if you'd like. I'm not going to, like, really, you know, choose otherwise. Is there a Ramatra dance emote incoming? I don't know. Reaper, use shift. I think it's an Ana. There you go. Throw a damage orb again. Damage orb. I guess that's fine. I just like damage orb here. It technically is kind of fine. It's fine to do the healing orb. That's a good healing orb. But it's just, you know, I have no idea what perks you picked either. There you go. I see him now. Yep, good ultimate. I mean, I did... Oh, wait, whenever you get ulted in, like, overtime like this, I don't, like... Whenever you get ulted in, like, overtime, I'm not going to fault you for not, like, playing around that. When it gets crazy of just trying to go to the point last second, you don't... It's harder to track ultimates because, like, normally your teammates wouldn't be taking as much damage, so... You getting grabbed there, I'm not too worried about that one. I don't feel like you mistracked it. It's more on the lines of, like, you're in a situation where it's a lot harder to make those plays happen, so, like, why? You know what I mean? I wouldn't... Basically, the point is I wouldn't worry about it too much. Either way, like, good attack. You only made a couple plays that I kind of pointed out, but overall, I mean, you're not... I don't think you're playing necessarily terrible. You know, I think, like, more than likely, people will probably mention that you can open up your playstyle even more. And what I mean by that is, you know, sometimes you just kind of play very safe. But you also mentioned that like you haven't really played at these. You've been playing at gold for so many seasons that you haven't quite, you know, adapted to like a new pace. So I also get that you might be a little bit more hesitant. So I'm just letting you know it's okay not to play that so hesitant, right? Does that make sense? So you said you get scared of being flamed for being a DPS Moira. So I think there's a... Okay, so let's talk about that very quickly. Maybe I have a different vision of what a DPS Moira is, okay? If you were balancing back and forth between keeping your team alive and then creating space by creating angles as a Moira, that is fine. If you were going to their back line and you never once heal your team, and then you look at your heals at the end of the game and you have 4,000 healing and 12,000 damage, that is the problem, right? So as long as your playstyle involves the idea of helping your team when your team needs help and then creating angles when there's downtime and nothing happening, you're going to be just fine on Moira. And that will probably end up climbing you a lot higher over time because that playstyle is a good playstyle. But it's just don't go into their backline and go full DPS mode and never see your teammates. Does that make sense? Like that's the problem there. Especially now with like the fade cooldown, you have even more wiggle room, right? So if you get like that fade cooldown and you're able to go further, that opens up the doors to be more aggressive and then get back to your team much quicker. So I don't want you to, as long as you're just like recognizing that you can help your team when you go into DPS Moira mode, it's fine. I think the problem people run into is when a Moira goes into the backline and then never DPSs, and then the only comms you get from your Moira is like, oh, I'm getting 3 kills. What's going on? It's like, well, your teams are dying to get no heals. So it's not about don't be afraid of opening up your playstyle a bit more. It's just about finding balance. That's all I'm getting at. Eyes open. Although I did see you bring up the idea of like not relying on your teammate to get the health back. At a certain point though, like, I'll explain this in a second. Also, Peach Cop, thanks for the 10 months of the tier 1. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Feels strong, man.
This is just like a very, just like chill heal Rhine. Okay, I want to talk about this play out of you. It worked out, but be careful of fading directly in front of the Reaper's face. Because if I'm on Reaper and I see you fade into me, I'm going, wait a second, you don't have fade. I have a timing now. So
the enemy advances on our point. Fend them off.
Just be careful of that. You got away with it, but... And you said you recognized it wasn't that good of a play. That's fine. That's good. I mean, that's all... Once again, just to reiterate, those plays happen. They're going to happen. You just lessen how much they happen. You're still going to see that happen in a top 500 game, so I want to make sure that part's clear. You know, it's... Yeah. Big slam alert! All right. All right, Moira orb. Yep, I don't think that went where you... that still got someone. I love how it bounced off a wall, bounced off another wall, and then went main. I just love it. Right idea, wrong timing. That's it. That's all I got. Right idea, wrong timing. I like that you're being proactive. It's just like your teammates just weren't. There was no like way for your team to follow up at the time. So unless like their team like reacts to your Moira ult, you're just gonna have exactly what you have there. It's like a 6-second standstill if nothing happened, and then you don't have an ult. But the idea of being proactive there is correct. I just think you needed to give a little bit more. Probably like best way to put it is, you don't want the Rhine to be stuck behind the taxi area, like the Rhine's here. You want the Rhine to be about here when you start to do that, because that's when things get wild. Because if the Rhine's like here, like here-ish, it's going to be really hard for the team to either disengage out or for the Rhine to not make like a bad play. So just like I said, right idea, wrong timing. So I wanted to give you the idea that you have the correct decision. You just need to save. You need to get the right timing.
Purge the enemy from its objective. Recover your strength.
Recognizing what else they have. That's pretty much what that is. I mean, that's just an ult tracking situation and giving up a little bit too much space to the team. But once again, they have a lot of ults. Sometimes you're just going to lose team fights. Part of the game. Other team has ults, and your team loses sometimes. So it's not like the worst of deals is all I'm saying, you know?
Preparing your cellular makeup. You cannot escape me. Are you senseless? You're moving the payload.
Chillin', you're chillin'.
A taste of poison. I require assistance.
Damage orb. Switch to a healing orb instead. Yep. Correct decision on the healing orb. Bob does this too much to like justify a damage orb, even if you lack resources. Try to get out. See, like, and just to point out, this is an example. Like, did you see how easily you were able to get out there with like the new fade perk that you have? Like, do you see what I'm talking about? That's why I mentioned it earlier, where I feel like you can make more aggressive plays nowadays and get away with those plays and still be helpful to your team. Like, you were in a spot there that normally if you try to fade out of there without the perk, you're going to end up like right here and you probably fall over. But like now you can go from here, fly all the way up here, and now you're back with your team, no problem. So that's why I'm saying, like, don't be afraid to be a little bit more proactive on that damage side of things, because you still have the ability to come back to the team. But just remember, it's about getting back to your team. That is the thing. If you're capable of doing that, you can be more aggressive. So just take that into account. It's going to open up your playstyle even more. There's a lot you can do. So. Oh, big slam alert! Unlucky timing though, because they shattered him with Nano, and there was a Juno ultimate at the same time. Just an unlucky like sequence. Great shatter though. Oh, well, big slam alert! Yeah, unlucky for you. You predicted the shatter and mistime your fade? That's fine. Listen, that's okay. I predict ultimates all the time, and I still get ulted a lot. It's more just about having that knowledge to make the correct decision. Timing was off, decision was there. If you find yourself, like, making the correct decision-making on that one, it's going to end up being good for you. So don't worry about that part. Not yet. I want to see something here just from the camera point of view. I don't know how this is going to go. This is a weird fight. Part of me says ult this, part of me says what in the world is going on? Because, like, there's a Reaper in the back line. Your teammates are 1 HP. You have a Pharah who is just shooting the Reaper. You have a Ryan who's up here by himself going for a play. I wouldn't ult it, actually. If this is a hindsight, but I think, like, your team ends up on the wrong side of this team fight just because of what I'm seeing. But then at the same time, if you do ult and win this, then, like, it's fine. But, like, if you're asking, do you save it? I don't know. Probably. Now you can ult. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm going to pause. Okay, so listen. Your ult timing, listen, it was fine. I would have, obviously, like, if you look back at that and you go, like, hindsight, you go, like, 1/10 of a second quicker, maybe a 1/2 a second quicker, your Reinhardt probably survives that. But here's my problem. You got to just trade out there, right? So what I mean by that is, at a certain point, when a team fight is very, like, scuffed like this, right? This is basically what I'm getting at here is, when a team fight becomes very scuffed like this, you need to try to find a way to... Well, I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this. Like, you need to trade out, right? And whether it's in bronze or if it's in top 500, you need to trade out. And when you have a Moira ult and you're shooting the Ashe, I would rather see you all in a kill there than to fade back and do this, because the Reinhardt's still alive. You had probably a kill on the Ashe, and even if you don't, the Ana is going to be like really hard focused here. So you have a real good opportunity here of kind of buying your teammates some space and time. And the best case scenario is you get a kill on Ashe. Great. Worst case scenario, outside of them just like one-shotting you randomly, you get them to turn for you, buy some time, give your teammates a little bit more space and like opportunity to build up an ultimate or like just get to like a good spot, and then you're good. So that's why I went, oh no, because like it felt like you had the right idea and then you swap back to something else, right? Like you swap to something, you swap to a different target. So probably got to avoid the Ryan Shadow there, but it was probably a bit of a scuff team fight at the same time too. It's gonna be tough for you to win. But this is also why, so right here, like this is why getting the trade is much better, because look what happens. You don't go for the trade, you lose space, you just don't have numbers to get back, and then you just lose a team fight. So that's why I'm really trying to get you kind of out of the habit of getting stuck in this type of situation, because when you get stuck in this type of situation, this is what will happen. Is basically you can't, I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. You just like can't win that team fight if you give up too much space. So kill the Ashe, and then go from there. But it's all hindsight. You know, maybe the Ashe doesn't even die there, and they still win that way. But remember, trading's good when your team is down, because that's going to allow for a better retake. If you haven't noticed a lot when we've been watching OWCS, like notice how many times on push, like they'll see it, they'll know a team fight's like lost, like they're like, yeah, we just cannot win this. So they just all in someone randomly and just get one pick. That's how those push maps end up so close, is because that one trade is more than enough to give their team opportunity. And when they don't trade, that's how they lose map control. By hitting like a button or react. Good damage orbs. Good recognition of where they are. Yep, rock by your Sigma. So far, a good job. No issues. This is where, yeah, so like this is where I think you could probably go a little bit more aggressive on your angle there. You and your Juno hit a good shot there on the Ana, but I think you know by now that like you can be a little bit more aggressive with your playstyle. But like, you know. About a minute left. Good for your teammates, healing your team. Getting some plays in, nice orb. There you go. You're gonna have your ult soon. They shouldn't have too much. Juno ultimate, obviously. Backing away now. Yeah, I know why I had to do that. That sucks. See, I know why. You said that's the biggest mistake? How? I actually don't think it is. You were just gonna lose the game. Who was gonna touch the point in your team? The mistake you made was just your timing. But like, who else? No one was gonna touch point. You're just gonna lose. I actually think that was the least of your mistakes. Like, is it a mistake in how you timed it? Yes. But like, was that the correct play? Probably. Yeah. No one else on your team seemed like they were gonna touch the point. So like, once again, yes. Like, could your timing have been better? Probably. Like, I think you went to the point a little bit too early. But I think you're gonna be the one to touch the point. So the only really mistake that you probably made in that one was you could have given yourself probably an extra half of a second to build your Moira ult in time. So that way you had it like an aggressive Moira ult on point. So like that part was. But at the same time, you know, your teammate could have just been on the point with you. So I wouldn't look too deeply on that one. Only suggestion is next time recognize that you have a little bit more time on the point capture. And that's it, right? Recognize you have a little bit more time on the point capture and you'll be fine. But yeah, that was the least of my worries. Yeah. So for you, I didn't think you had a bad game on Moira. I know you mentioned like, oh, give you other heroes to like play if need be. And I don't even know if you need to. Like, to be honest with you, like, hey, listen, if you want to go learn Ana, go learn Ana. Go learn Juno. Great heroes to learn. Kiriko, Brig, etc. Like, one thing is for sure, Overwatch has a bunch of awesome supports to learn, and if you want to do that, go for it. But when you're on Moira here, like, the only thing I would really say for you is keep getting better at tracking ultimates, right? Get better at understanding you can be a bit more aggressive on your time-ins. Like, be a little bit more aggressive. Find more angles, and then come back to your team, especially when you hit the fade cooldown. If you want to play it a little bit safe at the beginning before you get your fade perk, I totally understand that. That's fine, right? But then when you get that fade perk, that's going to enable you to be a little bit more aggressive and go to make really cool plays. So I think like that part is something you need to work on. But I mean, overall, I think this is going to be a playtime thing for you. You mentioned that you usually get to a certain rank and then just stop playing so you don't lose your rank. I'd say at this point, you have the right idea a lot of the time. It's just your timings are off. Like you have a right idea, wrong timings right now. That's it, right? Like that's where you are right now. You have good time. You have the right idea, bad timings. That's just going to come with playtime and understanding things. Keep working on tracking the ultimates. Start to be a little bit more aggressive. Like I said, your concern was that people will say you're a DPS Moira. As long as you're helping your team, it's not the issue. It's when you just don't help your team, right? When you go into the back line and do 20,000 damage and 3,000 healing, and then you're wondering why your team's losing. Well, it's because teammates aren't getting healed. You can have all the damage in the world, but if your teammates are falling over, it doesn't matter. So don't be afraid to open up that playstyle a bit more. I think you'll see better results. But it wasn't a bad game out of you. You had a lot of really good plays, right? And I want you to really look at those and recognize that, like, you're on the right track. Now it's just, like, fine-tuning it, all right? You got this. You absolutely got this. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTubes if you haven't. Leave a comment. All of it helps. If you want to submit your own Spectating, my Discord's where you do that. We also record these live on stream. So you can see the Twitch chat below the webcam, also stream on YouTube, so stop by if you haven't. And with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day/night.